Hey, what's up people? Welcome to Devs and Dice. My name is Leif, and this is a channel where I each and every week try to paint a miniature for D&D, but that might change soon. This episode is my second out of 4, where I paint all of the elementals that Wizkids just came out with. Before we get busy, as always, I want to ask you if you like this channel, please hit the likes button, share it, subscribe, you know the drill. Anything that can help to spread the word and joy of this channel. Alright, with that out of the way, this week's miniature is the Water Elemental. A couple of years ago I started getting into D&D. As my passion for D&D grew, so did my collection of minis, and like many others out there, I now have boxes of shame. Legions of unpainted minis. Now this is my underdog story. This is me painting every single one of my miniatures. Alright, so this is the Water Elemental from Wizkids Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures. The miniature comes in transparent plastic. Now I wanted to keep this miniature transparent because, well, water is transparent. There are quite a lot of mold lines, and my first idea was of course to use a hobby knife to remove them. This proved difficult since the surface felt harder and was filled with sort of the chaotic natural shapes of the water. I even tried the Citadel mold remover, but nothing really worked. Then it hit me. I figured out that instead of thinking about this as a reductive method where I would take the mold lines away, what if I were to add on top of them instead? Like fixing holes in drywall or something similar. So I brought out my Vallejo water texture. I first cleaned the miniature thoroughly with some tissues and alcohol. Then I glued it to the base. Once that was done, I started putting on some water texture paste wherever I could see mold lines. Now I was lucky that this was a water elemental because I could easily shape the texture paste to look like waves. I could even exaggerate the sort of wild, untamed, elemental look of a miniature. So this is what I have so far, and at this point it's just a question of leaving it to dry for about 24 hours or until most of it becomes clear. Now as you can see, it dries quite transparent. It got a little bit foggy at the bottom, which was fine, but most likely I think that this was because there were some super glue residue there and it was some sort of chemical reaction. As usual, when tinting, I use inks. The 2 inks I'm going to use for this are Intensity Inks Viridis Green and Tenebrous Blue from Green Stuff World. For the first coat, I used a mixture of about 7 drops of Tenebrous Blue and 10 drops of Viridis Green. Also, always test your colors before airbrushing on the mini. Once the first base coat was done, I used pure tenebrous blue to darken the bottom part of the water elemental. And this is what we have so far. So a more green-blue color at the top and darker blue at the bottom. I used a similar method when I painted my shark from Wizkids Deep Cuts. And this is what it looks like when it's dry. The finish is quite matte, so I decided to hit it with some gloss varnish. And this is what the gloss varnish looks like when it's dry. Now it looked good, but I felt like it needed a little bit more texture, and thankfully I had just bought the snow texture from Vallejo. I wanted to try to use this to create some foam texture. Now this was my first time using this, so I wasn't exactly sure what to expect. But once I got used to the paste, I used it here and there on the water elemental to, I guess, what you could call the face, the arms, and the back of the elemental. I really liked the result, and I think it gave it a lot more depth and character. After that had dried, I coated the entire thing again with gloss varnish. Let's look at the final results, shall we?
Alright, good folks, what did you think? As always, please tell me down in the comments down below. And remember, if you liked this video, please show some love, hit the like button, and if you really liked it, you know what? Hit the subscribe button and that bell also, so you don't miss any of our videos. Alright, that's all for me, so until next time, toodaloo.